Shabbat Shalom, pilgrims! For the Torah portion from the Blue Bridge, we've got squirrels, we've got birds and crows and all kinds of critters. We're reading in the second parashah of the year of 4th of Shesvan, and that is in the year 5777 of the years of light, Shekinah, which today is November 5th, 2016, and we are reading the parashah of Noach, which is from Genesis chapter 6:9 to 11:32. And then the Haftorah is Yeshayahu, Isaiah 54, 1 through 55, verse 5, and Luke chapter 1 through verse 80. So for the Brit Hadashah, we are actually going to start the reading today in chapter 5 of Bareshith, or Genesis chapter 5. But I'm going to start it one verse before in chapter 4:26. And to Seth, to him also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. Then it was begun to call on the name of Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh. Chapter 5. This is the book of the genealogies of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, he made him in the likeness of Elohim. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them and called their name Adam, in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and brought forth a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Sheth. And after he brought forth Sheth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Sheth lived 105 years, and brought forth Enosh. And after he brought forth Enosh, Sheth lived 807 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Sheth were 912 years, and he died. And Enosh lived 90 years, and brought forth Cainan. And after he brought forth Cainan, Enosh lived 815 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. And Cainan lived 70 years, and brought forth Mahaliel. And after he brought forth Mahaliel, Cainan lived 840 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Cainan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahaliel lived 65 years, and brought forth Yerad. And after he brought forth Yerad, Mahaliel lived 830 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahaliel were 895 years, and he died. And Yerad lived 162 years, and brought forth Hanok. And after he brought forth Hanok, Yared lived 800 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Yared were 962 years, and he died. And Hanok lived 65 years, and brought forth Methuselah. And after he brought forth Methuselah, Hanok walked with Elohim 300 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Hanok were 365 years. And Hanok walked with Elohim. Then he was no more, for Elohim took him. And Methuselah lived 187 years, and brought forth Lamech. And after he brought forth Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years, and brought forth a son, and called his name Noach, saying, This one does comfort us concerning our work, and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahweh has cursed. And after he brought forth Noah, Lamech lived 595 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old. And Noah brought forth Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Parashah of Noah, Genesis, or Bareshith, chapter 6. And it came to be, when men began to increase on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the Bnei Elohim, sons of Elohim, saw the daughters of men, that they were good, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And YHWHY, Yahweh said, My Ruach, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, in his going astray. He is flesh, and his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. They were the sons of Elohim, the Bnei Elohim, came into the daughters of the men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of name, or renowned Nephilim. And Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahweh was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. And Yahweh said, I am going to wipe off man, whom I have created from the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creature and birds of the heaven, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of Yahweh. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a tzedak, righteous man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with Elohim. And Noah brought forth 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the earth was corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. And Yahweh looked upon the earth, and saw that it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their ways on the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and see, I am going to destroy them from the earth. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with a covering, pitch or tar. And this is how you are to make it. The length of the ark is 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Make a window for the ark, and complete it to a cubit from above, and set the door of the ark in its side. Make it with lower, second, and third decks. And see, I myself am bringing flood waters on the earth to destroy all flesh in which is beneath of life from under the heavens. All that is on the earth is to die. And I shall establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, and you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. And all the living of the flesh, all flesh, 2 of each, which you are to bring into the ark, to keep them alive, with you a male and a female. Of the birds after their kind, and the cattle after their kind, and of all creeping creatures of the ground, and after their kind. 2 of each are to come to you, to keep them alive. As for you, take of all food that is eaten, and gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them. And Noah did according to all that Elohim commanded him. So he did it. And so he did it. Parashah of Noah, Bareshith, Genesis chapter 7. And YHWHY, Yahweh, said to Noah, come into the ark, and all your household, because I have seen that you are tzedak, righteous before me in this generation. Of all the clean beasts, take with you 7 pairs, a male and his female, and of the beasts that are unclean, 2, a male and his female. And the birds of the heaven, 7 pairs of males and females, to keep offspring alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days I am sending rain on the earth, 40 days and 40 nights, and shall wipe from the face of the earth all that stands that I created. And Noah did according to all that Yahweh commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the floodwaters were on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of the clean beasts and the beasts that are unclean, and of the birds, and all that creep on the earth, 2 by 2 they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to be, after 7 days, that the waters of the flood were on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd new moon, Rosh Chodesh, of the 17th day of the new moon. On the day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the heaven were opened, and the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And that same day Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons were with them, went into the ark. They and every life form after its kind, and every beast after its kind, and every creeping creature that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort, And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2 of all flesh, in which is breath of life. And those going in, male and female of all flesh, went in as Elohim commanded him, and Yahweh shut him in. And the flood was on the earth 40 days, and the waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth, and the waters were mighty, and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters, and the waters were exceedingly mighty on the earth, and all the mountains under all the heavens were covered. The waters became mighty, 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered, and all flesh died. The creeping creatures on the earth, the birds, cattle, and the beasts and every swarming creature that swarms on the earth, and all mankind, in whose nostrils was the breath of the Spirit of life. All that was on the dry land died. So he wiped off all that stand, which were on the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creature and bird of the heavens, and they were wiped off the earth, and only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark, and the waters were mighty on the earth 150 days. Parashah Noah. Genesis, Bareshith chapter 8. And Elohim remembered Noah, and all the beasts, and all the cattle that were with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided, and the fountains of the deep and the windows of the heaven were stopped, and the rain from the heavens was withheld, and the waters receded steadily from the earth, and at the end of 150 days the waters diminished. And in the 17th new moon, Rosh Chodesh, the 17th day of the new moon, the ark rested on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased steadily until the 10th new moon, Rosh Chodesh. And in the 10th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, the tops of the mountains became visible. And it came to be, at the end of the 40 days, that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent out a raven, which kept going out and turning back until the waters had dried up from the earth. When he sent out a dove from him, to see if the waters had receded from the face off the ground. But the dove found no resting place for his feet, and returned into the ark to him, for the waters were on the face of all the earth. So he put out his hand and took it, and pulled it into the ark to himself. And he waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent the dove out from the ark. And the dove came to him in the evening, and see, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in its mouth. And Noah knew that the waters had receded from the earth. And he waited yet another 7 days, and sent out the dove, which did not return to him again. And it came to be in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the new moon, that the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah, removing the covering of the ark, and looked, and saw the surface of the ground was dry. And in the second new moon, on the 27th day of the new moon, the earth was dry. And Elohim spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons wives with you. Bring out every life form of all flesh that is with you, of birds, of cattle, of all creeping creatures, the creeping creatures on the earth, and let them teem on the earth, and bear and increase on the earth. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wives, and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping creature, and every bird, whatever creeps on the earth according to their kinds, went out of the ark. And Noah built a slaughter place to Yahweh, and took of every clean beast, and of every clean bird, and offered ascending offerings on the slaughter place. And Yahweh smelled a soothing fragrance. And Yahweh said in his heart, Never again shall I curse the ground because of man, although the inclination of man's heart is evil from his youth, and never again will all living creatures as I have done, as long as the earth remains, seedtime and harvest, and cold and heat, and winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. Parashah Noah, Genesis or Bareshith chapter 9. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, Be fruitful and increase, and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you is on every beast of the earth, on every bird of the heaven, on all that creeps on the ground, and on all the flesh of the sea. Into your hands they have been given. Every creeping creature that lives is food for you. I have given you all, as I have given the green plants. But do not eat flesh with its life, its blood, but only your blood for your lives I require. From the hand of every beast I require it, and from the hand of man, from the hand of every man's brother I require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man's his blood shall be shed. For in the image of Elohim he was made. As for you, be fruitful and increase. Bring forth teemingly in the earth and increase in it. And Elohim spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, See, I have established my covenant, my brit, with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living being that is with you, of the birds, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, of all that go out of the ark, every beast on the earth. And I shall establish my covenant with you, and never again is all flesh cut off by the waters of the flood, and neither again is there a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, This is the sign, the tav, of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living being that is with you for all generations to come, le'olam va'ed. I shall set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for you the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And it shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. And I shall remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living being of all flesh, and never again let the waters become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I shall see it, to remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living being of all flesh that is on the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. And the sons of Noah, who went out from the ark, were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah. In all the earth was overspread from them. And Noah, a man of the soil, began and planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine, and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his brothers outside. So Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father. But their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his younger son had done to him. And he said, Cursed is Canaan, let him become a servant of servants to his brothers. And he said, Blessed is Yahweh, the Elohim of Shem, and let Canaan become his servant. Let Elohim enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan become his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Parashah Noach, Bareshith 10, Genesis chapter 10. This is the genealogy of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, and Madai, and Yoan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Yoan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanam. For these, the coastland peoples of the nations were separated into their lands, everyone according to his language, according to their clans, into their nations. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mitzrayim, and Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, and Havilah, and Sabtah, and Ramah, and Sabtecha. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush brought forth Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod the mighty hunter before or against Yahweh. And the beginning of his reign was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and in the land of Shinar. From the land he went to Ashur, and built Nineveh, and Rehoboth, and Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh, Mosul, and Calah the great city. And Mitzrayim brought forth Ludim, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Nephtubim, and Parth-Rushim, and Kaluhim, from whom came the Philistines, and Captorim. And Canaan brought forth Sidon, his firstborn, Heth, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites, and the Girgashite, and the Hawites, and the Arkite, and the Sinite, and the Arwadite, and the Sesmarite, and the Hamarthite, and afterward the clans of the Canaanites were spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon to go toward Gerar. And as Uzzah, as you go forward, Sidom, and Amorah, and Admah, and Tsesboim, as far as Leshah. These were the sons of Ham, according to their clans, according to their languages, in their lands, in their nations. And also to Shem, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Jephthah. The elder children were born. The sons of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the sons of Aram, Uts, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad brought forth Shelah, and Shelah brought forth Eber. And Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided. And his brother's name was Yoktan. And Yoktan brought forth Almodad, and Shelephah, and Hatzswarmaweth, and Yarah, and Haddoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Ablimel, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab. All these were sons of Yoktan, and their dwelling place was from Meshah, as you go forth, Sephar, the mountain to the east. These were the sons of Shem, according to their clans, according to their language, in their lands, according to their nations. These were the clans of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, in their nations. And from these the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. Parashah Noach, Bareshith, chapter 11, Genesis 11. And all the earth had one language and one speech. And it came to be, as they set out from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to each other, Come, let us make bricks, and bake them thoroughly. And they had made bricks of stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the Shamayim, the heavens. And let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. Then Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahweh said, Look, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do? And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. Come, let us go there and confuse their languages, so that they do not understand one another's speech. And Yahweh scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. And that is why its name is called Babel, because there Yahweh confused the language of all the earth, and from there Yahweh scattered them over the face of all the earth. This is the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and brought forth Arphaxad, 2 years after the flood. And after he brought forth Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years and brought forth Shelah. And after he brought forth Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Shelah lived 30 years and brought forth Eber. And after he brought forth Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years and brought forth Peleg. And after he brought forth Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and brought forth Reu. And after he brought forth Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years and brought forth Sereg. And after he brought forth Sereg, Reu lived 207 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Sereg lived 30 years and brought forth Nahor. And after he brought forth Nahor, Sereg lived 200 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years and brought forth Terah. And after he brought forth Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and brought forth Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And this is the genealogy of Terah. Terah brought forth Abram, Nahor, and Haran brought forth Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his birth, in Ur-Kasdim. And Abram's and Nahor took wives, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Yishka. And Sarai was barren, and she had no child. And Terah took his son Abram, and his grandson Lot of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, and his son Abram's wife, and they went out with them from Ur-Kasdim to go to the land of Canaan, and they came to Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah came to be 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. The half-Torah portion readings of YHWH on the 11th of Sheshvan, 5777 year of. And we're going to look at Isaiah chapter 40, and it's 27 through 41:16. We're going to read both chapters 40 and 41. Comfort, comfort my people, says your Elohim. Speak to the heart of Yerushalayim and cry out to her that her hard service is completed, that her crookedness is pardoned, that she has received from the hand of Yahweh a double for all her sins. The voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahweh, make straight in the path a desert, a wilderness for our Elohim. Let every valley be raised, and every mountain and hill made low, and the steep ground shall become level, and the rough places smooth. And the esteem of Yahweh shall be revealed, and all flesh together shall see it. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. The voice shall cry out, and he said, what do I cry? All flesh is grass, and all its loving commitment is like the flower of the field. Grass shall wither, and the flower shall fade, when the ruach of Yahweh has blown on it. Truly, the people is grass. Grass shall wither, the flower shall fade, but the word Devorim of our Elohim stands forever. You who bring Basar, good news to Zion, get up into the high mountains. You who bring good news to Yerushalayim, lift up your voice with strength. Lift it up. Be not afraid. Say to the cities of Yehuda, see your Elohim. See the Master Yahweh comes with strength, and his arm rules for him. See, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. He feeds his flocks like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs with his arm, and carries them in his bosom, gently leading those who are with young. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and measured the heavens with a span, and contained the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed out the mountains in the scale, and the hills in a balance? Who has meted out the ruach of Yahweh, or who has counselor taught him? With whom did he take counsel, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of right ruling, tzedakness? Who taught him knowledge, and showed him the way of understanding? See, the nations are as a drop in a bucket, and are reckoned as dust on the balance. See, he lifts up isles as fine dust. And Lebanon is not enough to burn, nor its beasts enough for an ascending offering. All nations before him are as non-entity, and they are reckoned by him as less than a speck, an emptiness. And to whom would you liken El? And what likeness would you compare to him? The workman mounds a graven image, and the goldsmith overspreads it with gold, and the silversmith casts silver chains. He who is too poor for such an offering chooses a tree that does not rot. He seeks for himself a skilled craftsman to prepare a carved image that does not totter or fall over. Did you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been declared to you from the beginning, Bareshith? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits above the circles of the earth, and its inhabitants are like the grasshoppers, who stretch out the firmaments of heaven, the Shamayim, like a curtain, and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. And who brings princes to naught, nothingness, shall make the rulers of the earth as emptiness. Hardly have they been planted, hardly have they been sown, hardly have their stalk taken root in the earth, when he shall blow on them and they wither, and a whirlwind take them away like stubble. And to whom then do you liken me, or to whom am I compared, says the Kodesh set apart Echad. Lift up your eyes on high and see. Who has created these things? He is bringing out their host by number. He calls them all by name. By the greatness of ability and potent of power, a man is not lacking. Why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel? My way is hidden from Yahweh, and my rights are overlooked by my Elohim. Did you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting Elohim, Yahweh Tezavot, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to those who have no might. He increases their strength. Even you shall faint and be weary, and young men shall stumble and fall. But those who wait on Yahweh renew their strength. They shall rise up on the kanaf, the wings like eagles. They run and are not weary. They walk and do not faint. Chapter 41 of Yeshayahu. Be silent before me, you coastlands, and let peoples renew their power. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come together for right ruling. Who raised up the righteous one from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him? Who made sovereigns submit to him? He gave them as the dust to his sword, as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them, passed over in safety, by a path he had not gone with his feet. Who was performed and done it, calling the generations from the beginning. I, Yahweh, am the first, and with the last I am he, the Aleph and the Tav. Coastlands see it and hear. The ends of the earth are afraid. They draw near and come. Everyone helps his neighbor and says to his brother, be strong. And the craftsman strengthens the goldsmith, who smooths with the hammer, inspires him who strikes the anvil, saying of the joining, it is good. And he strengthens it with nails, so it does not totter. But you, Israel, you are my servant. Jacob, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham, who loved me, whom I have strengthened from the ends of the earth, and called from its farthest parts, and said to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you, and have not rejected you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not look around, for I am your Elohim. I shall fortify you. I shall also help you. I shall also uphold you with the right hand of my tzedakness, my righteousness. See, all those who raged against you are ambushed in the blush. They are not non-existent, and the men who strive with you perish. You seek them, but do not find them. Those who struggle with you, those who fight you, are as non-existence, as nothingness, as naught. For I, Yahweh your Elohim, am strengthening your right hand, saying to you, do not fear, I shall help you. Do not fear, you worm Jacob, you men of Israel. I shall help you, declares Yahweh and your Redeemer, the Kodesh set apart one of Israel. See, I shall make you into a new threshing sledge with sharp teeth. Let you thresh mountains and beat them small, and make hills like chaff. You winnow them, the winds lift them up, and the whirlwind scatter them, but you rejoice in Yahweh and boast in the Kodesh Echad, the set-apart one of Israel, when the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongues have failed for thirst. I, Yahweh, do answer them. I, Yahweh Tezavot, Elohim of Israel, do not forsake them. I open rivers on bare hills, and fountains in the midst of valleys. I make a wilderness become a pool of water, and a dry land springs of water. I set in the wilderness cedar, acacia, and myrtle, an oil tree, and place in the desert cypress, pine, and box tree together, so that they see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of Yahweh has done this, and the Kodesh Echad, the set-apart one of Israel, has Bareshith created it. Present your case, too, says Yahweh. Let your strong ones come near, says the sovereign of Jacob. Let them draw near and declare to us what is going to take place. Let them declare the former events, what they were, and we consider them and know the latter end of them, or announce to us what is coming. Declare the events that are going to come hereafter, and we know that you are mighty ones. Yes, do good or do evil, and let us be amazed and see it together. See, you are of naught, and your work a breath, and who chooses you is an abomination. I have stirred up one from the north, and he comes from the rising of the sun. He calls on my name, and he comes against princes as though through mortar, as a potter treads through clay. Who has declared from the beginning, and we know, and former times, and we say, he is righteous. No, no one is declaring. No, no one is proclaiming. No, no one is hearing your words. He who is Aleph first says to Sion, see to them, and to Yerushalayim, I give one who brings good news, and I shall see that there is no man, and these there is no counselor who, when I ask of them, answers a word. See, all of them are useless. Their works are naught. Their molded images are wind and confusion. Parashah Noach, Brit Hadashah, Luke, chapter 1. Since many have indeed taken in hand to set in order an account of the matters completely confirmed among us, as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses, and servants of the word delivered them to us, it seemed good to me as well, having followed up all these matters exactly from the beginning, to write to you an orderly account, O most excellent Theophilus, that you might know the certainty of the words which you were taught. There was in the days of Herodes, the sovereign of Yehuda, a certain priest, a Kohen, named Zechariah, of the division of Abiyah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elisheba. And they were both Zadok, righteous before Elohim, blamelessly walking in all the commands and righteousness of Yahweh. And they had no child because Elisheba was barren, and she were both advanced in years. And it came to be that while he was serving as the Kohanim before Elohim in the order of his division, according to the institute of the priesthood, he was chosen by lot to burn incense when he went into the dwelling place of Yahweh, Bet Yahweh. And the entire crowd of people was praying outside at the hour of incense. And the messenger of Yahweh appeared to him, standing at the right side of the slaughter place of incense. And when Zechariah saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the messenger said to him, do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer is heard, and your wife, Elisheba, shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Yochanan. And you shall have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great, Gadol, before Yahweh, and he shall drink no wine and strong drink at all. For he shall be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, even from his mother's womb. And he shall turn many of the children of Israel to Yahweh, their Elohim. And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Eliyahu, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, as is spoken of in Malachi 4:6, and the disobedient to the insight of tzedakness, of righteousness, to make ready a people prepared for Yahweh. And Zechariah said to the messenger, by what shall I know this? For I am old, and my wife advanced in years. And the messenger answering said to him, I am Gabriel, who stands in the presence of Elohim, and was sent to speak to you and announce to you this good news. But see, you shall be silent and unable to speak until the day that this takes place, because you did not believe my words, which shall be filled in their appointed time. And the people waited for Zechariah, and marveled at his delay in the dwelling place. And when he came out, he was unable to speak to them, and they recognized that he had seen a vision in the dwelling place, Kodesh, and he was beckoned to them and remained dumb. And it came to be, as soon as the days of his service were completed, he went away to his house. And after those days, his wife, Elisheba, conceived. And she hid herself 5 months, saying, Yahweh has done this for me, in the days which he looked upon me, to take away my reproach among men. And in the 6th month, the messenger Gabriel was sent by Elohim to a city of Galil named Nazareth, to the maiden engaged to a man whose name was Jehoshaphat, of the house of David. And the maiden, the Betula's name, was Miriam. And the messenger, coming to her, said, Shalom, greetings, favored one, the master is with you. Baruch, blessed are you among women, Isha. But she was greatly disturbed at his word, and wondered what kind of greeting was this. And the messenger said to her, do not be afraid, Miriam, for you have found favor with Elohim. And see, you have conceived in your womb, and shall give birth to a son, and call his name Yahshua. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Most High, Tezavot, and Yahweh Elohim shall give him the throne of his father David. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, Le'olam Va'ed, and there shall be no end to his reign. And Miriam said to the messenger, how shall this be, since I do not know a man? And the messenger answering said to her, the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, shall come upon you, and the power of the Tezavot, the Most High, shall overshadow you. And for that reason, the Kodesh, set apart Echad, the one, born of you, shall be called Son of Elohim. And see, Elisheba, your relative, she has also conceived a son in her old age, and this is now the 6th month to her, who was called barren. Because her with Elohim no matter shall be impossible. And Miriam said, See, the female servant of Yahweh, let it be to me according to your word. And the messenger went away from her. And Miriam arose in those days, and went into the hill country with haste to a city of Yehudah, and entered into the house of Zechariah, and greeted Elisheba. And it came to be, when Elisheba heard the greeting of Miriam, that the baby leaped in her womb, and Elisheba was filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, and called out with a loud voice, said, Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And who am I that the mother of my master should come to me? For look, when the sound of your greeting came to my ears, the baby in my womb leaped for joy. Blessed is she who believed, for that which Yahweh has said to her shall be accomplished. And Miriam said, My being makes Yahweh great, and my spirit has rejoiced in Elohim my Savior, because he looked on the humiliation of his female servant. For look, there now on all generations shall call me blessed. For he who is mighty has done wonders for me, and Ruach HaKodesh, set apart. Kodesh is his name, Hashem, and his compassion is from generation to those who fear him, as is spoken of in Tehillim 103:17. He did mightily with his arm. He scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He brought down rulers from their thrones and exalted the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good items, and the rich he has sent away empty, as spoken of in Tehillim Psalm 107:9. And sustained Israel his servant in remembrance of his compassion, as he spoke to our fathers, to Abraham, and to his seed forever. Le'olam va'ed. And Miriam stayed with her about 3 months, and returned to her home. And the time was filled for Elisheba to give birth, and she bore a son. And her neighbors and her relatives heard how Yahweh had shown great compassion to her, and they rejoiced with her. And it came to be, on the 8th day, they had come to circumcise the child, and they were with him by the name of his father Zechariah. And his mother answering him said not so, but he shall be called Yohanan. And they said to her, There is no one amongst your relatives who is called by that name. Then they motioned to his father that he would like him to be called. And having asked for a writing tablet, he wrote, saying, Yohanan is his name. And they all marveled. And at once his mouth was opened and his tongue loosed, and he was speaking, praising Elohim. And fear came on all those dwelling around them. And all these matters were spoken of in all the hills country of Yehudah. And all who heard them kept them in their hearts, saying, What then shall this child be? And the hand of Yahweh was with him. And Zechariah, his father, was filled with a set-apart ruach, and prophesied, saying, Baruch haba b'shem Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. Blessed be Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, for he did look upon and worked redemption for his people, and has raised up a horn of deliverance for us in the house of his servant David, as he has spoken by the mouth of his Kodesh Nabi, the set-apart prophets from of old. Shua, deliverance from our enemies and from the hand of all those hating us, as it's spoken of in Tehillim 106, verse 10, to show compassion towards our father, and to remember his set-apart covenant, an oath which he swore to our father Abraham, to give to us, being delivered from the hand of our enemies, to serve him without fear, in Kodeshness, in set-apartness and Zadokness, rightness before him all the days of our life. And you, child, shall be called prophet of the Most High, Nabi Tezavot. For you shall go before the face of Yahweh to prepare his ways, as spoken of in Malachi 3, verse 1, to give knowledge of deliverance to his people by the forgiveness of their sins, through the tender compassion of our Elohim, with which the daybreak from on high has looked upon us, to give light to those who sit in darkness and the shadow of death, as spoken of in Yeshayahu, chapter 9, to guide our feet into the way of shalom. And the child grew and became strong in the Ruach, in the Spirit, and was in the desert until the days of showing himself openly to Yisrael. Lucas chapter 2. And it came to be in those days that a decree went out from Caesar Augustus for all the world to be registered. This took place as a first registration while Quirinius was governing Syria, and all were going to be registered, each one to his own city. And Jehoshaphat also went up to Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth to Yehudah, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was the house of lineage of David, house of bread, Bethlehem, to be registered with Miriam, who was engaged to him, being pregnant. And it came to be that while they were there, the days were filled for her to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him up, and laid him down in a feeding trough, because there was no room for them in the lodge. It was a sukkah. And in the same country there were shepherds living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. And look, a melechim, a messenger of Yahweh, stood before them, and the esteem of Yahweh shone around them, and they were greatly afraid. And the messenger said to them, Do not be afraid, for look, I bring you good news of joy, Simcha, which shall be to all the people, because there was born to you today in the city of David a Savior, Mashiach, who is Messiah, the Master. And this is the sign to you. You shall find the baby wrapped up in the fine linens, lying in a feeding trough. And suddenly there was with them a messenger, a crowd of the heavenly hosts, praising Elohim and saying, Esteem to Elohim in the highest, Gadol, and on the earth shalom among men with whom he is pleased. And it came to be, when the messengers had gone away from them into the heavens, that the shepherds said to each other, Indeed, let us go to Bethlehem, and see this matter that has taken place, which the Master has made known to us. And they came in haste, and found Miriam and Joseph, and the baby, lying in the Sukkot, in a feeding trough. And having seen, they made known the matter which was spoken to them concerning the child. And all those who heard marveled at what the shepherds said to them. But Miriam kept all these matters, and considered them in her heart. And the shepherds returned, boasting and praising Elohim for all that they had heard and seen, as it was spoken to them. And when 8 days were completed for him to be circumcised, Acharet Ha'amim, the 8th day, Hashem, his name was called Yahshua, the name given by the messenger before he was conceived in the womb. And when the days of her cleansing, according to the Torah of Moshe, were completed, they brought him to Yerushalayim to present him to Yahweh, as it has been written in the Torah, Shemot, Exodus 13, 2, 12, and 15, as it has been written, every male who opens the womb shall be called, set apart to Yahweh, and to give an offering, according to what is said in the Torah of Yahweh, a pair of turtle doves and 2 young pigeons, as prescribed in Vayikra 5:11. And see, there was a man in Yerushalayim, whose name was Shimeon, and this man was righteous and dedicated, looking for the comforting of Yisrael. And the Ruach HaKodesh was upon him, and it had been revealed to him by the Ruach HaKodesh that he would not see death before he sees the Messiah. And he came in the Spirit into the set-apart place. And as the parents brought the child, Yahshua, to do for him according to the usual practice of the Torah in Brit Milah, then he took him up in his arms, blessed Elohim, and said, Now let your servant go in shalom, O Master, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your deliverance, which you have prepared before the face of all the peoples, for a light, for the unveiling of the nations, and the esteem of your people, Yisrael. Thus concludes the Brit Hadashah portion. Shalom.